Well, I'm here. I'm back. Evan has returned to PWF Empire Live SmackDown review. And I know it's been a long time. I know I've been waiting a while to make my return, but with college graduation, all these other things going on, and it's just been, Tuesday nights have been like the most challenging night for me to get myself here and ready to go. But you know what? I am, and that's what matters. And you know what? It feels good to be back here because the whole SmackDown Live review thing was supposed to start with me and Lucas, and it's kind of been all over the place. But I'm here, and Justin's here, and we just watched SmackDown Live, and I got to be honest with you, Justin, I thought this was a pretty good show.
I do too, and it's good. It's good to have you back too. First long time we've done a show together. It's been like a year or so. Getting
Ah,
there.
it's got to be.
But
It's
yeah,
got to be.
it's got some around there.
Mm.
Oh, wait, we did the last mark standing, but that doesn't count. so
That was fun in its own way, though. Yes, yes.
yes. But yeah, I agree. The show was pretty good, except for one big void. But we'll get to that, I'm sure. So
Hmm.
yeah, we'll
Oh,
always
yeah.
get there.
Well, oh, yeah. There's no way we won't. We'll cover everything there is to cover here. So
no
I think we
stone
should.
unturned.
Absolutely, no stone left unturned. So I think one thing that we should talk about is the entire concept of Money in the Bank coming up here. There's obviously two major elements. First off, the announcement of the first ever women's Money in the Bank match, and then of course the matches and the build-up that we got in the opening segment with Owens, Nakamura, Corbin, and Zayn, and then the main event with Ziggler and AJ Styles. So we kind of got to see a little bit of everything here. So I think we could start by talking, about Owens, Nakamura, Corbin, and Zayn, starting it off with that highlight segment that led to the famous Teddy Long SmackDown Tag Team match, and then Ziggler and Styles in the main event. Now, do you find these things kind of to be repetitive? Because, we've obviously been watching the product for years. Is
Mhm.
this something that is repetitive to you, or do you enjoy seeing these matches with different competitors within the Money in the Bank, kind of just going at it?
I mean, it wouldn't be as bad as because I guess I have to factor in Raw a little bit. It's just that there's that going on there where there's like a multi-man main event going on there, and then we're getting to the same storyline where it's multi-man main events where it's like you're going to see these pairs all rolled into one and pair it off. And I guess it's a little stale because of that because you're bouncing off that a lot. But I do like most of the men in this match, if not all of them. So, and I like the pairings, how they're setting these up and like how the storylines are intertwining and mixing. Like I really liked how Zayn put into focus how he's feuding with Corbin, how that fight continues, but he still has that beef with Kevin Owens on the side too, and how he just took the story and brought it back together to that. So that's good. Nakamura is just doing Nakamura things. Once again, if I'm going to be honest with Nakamura, and I'm going to talk about him more specifically here, I think it's a problem when Kevin Owens says people are still wondering who you are. If we're a month into your debut and we still don't know who you are, that's a problem. And I think they're kind of making him just seem like one of the guys still. Like it's hard to see why Nakamura is a cut above the rest, besides his awesome entrance, and because haven't done a good job propping him up a month advance, I think. But yeah,
Yeah, and it's something I noticed tonight, and I tweeted about it actually in the beginning of the show, was that Nakamura is, to me, he comes across as kind of a larger than life kind of personality with the entrance. And then I know I got a tweet back at me from Dark Hero, who's already in the chat. What's up, man? And like I agreed with what he said. It's like then he gets in the ring and it's like that larger than life thing kind of wears itself off. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with that because in the ring, I don't need you to be larger than life as much as I do when you're making your entrance. I think your entrance is what says everything about you. And Nakamura's entrance, him and Finn Balor, to me, coolest entrances you've got going right now, that's a big deal. That is a big deal. But at the same time, you're right. Maybe that identity for Nakamura not so clear right now. Is that affecting him, do you think, in terms of chances of winning the WWE Championship or something like that? Is this really holding him back from being what he can be?
the entrance definitely not because it's the selling point with him. I mean, I wonder because I was thinking about it too, and it's like on NXT with Nakamura, you wouldn't get his entrance every week. It'd be very spread out, and the fans would be like, "Oh my gosh, it's back at it!" Now you're going to get it every week, and it's going to be like, "Okay, this is a great entrance still, but I need to see more character from you." And you have Kevin Owens claiming you're a rock star, Dolph Ziggler saying you're a rock star, him saying he's a rock star basically, but I'm not really seeing that kind of personified outside of his entrance. Like he's king of strong style. They should really play that up again, maybe. And like it's just I'm not feeling like he's anything special outside of it. Like the entrance says he's special, but once he's in the ring, there's they're not really doing much to say he is special or who he is and why we should gravitate towards him and his in-ring component, which is a big part of it or whatever. And I don't think it's going to hurt his WWE title chances unless it gets less people on board with him. Like, people are like, why do they keep doing this entrance? And, like, why is they pushing Nakamura? He's not all that interesting. And it's like, because there's going to be people in the crowd like that unless you find a way to connect the dots for them. And that's my big fear with Nakamura is he's just going to he stays one of the guys instead of being the big, the big draw he should be. But he's being groomed to be, it feels like. That's my big worry.
And we've seen in these last few years, and I guess you could say the NXT era, a lot of guys kind of just become another one of the guys rather than being what they can be. And Nakamura is especially someone who can be like the MVP of the WWE, so to speak. Like, this guy could be like the biggest draw you even have, or is in terms of internationally. So I think with him, even more is riding on that. Now, getting to that main event, Ziggler and Styles. Ziggler actually winning clean. A pretty strange finish to SmackDown Live. But it's always the hometown. You're in your hometown, and then you just can't have AJ win in his hometown. It doesn't work like that, right? That's Vince McMahon's philosophy or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. But Ziggler and Styles, they put on a good match. It was definitely a nice main event. But for Ziggler to win clean, obviously that doesn't really move the needle much for Dolph Ziggler. But, I guess you could say it's a needed win for him, and it makes him look like he actually has a little bit of legitimacy going into the Money in the Bank match. What are your thoughts on this main event?
Oddly enough, because I'm kind of known to be the Dolph Ziggler hater under this whole PWF Empire umbrella, and it's weird because I'm kind of like, I'm not mad at Ziggler anymore. I'm like, I honestly like what he did in the match. I like him using the ropes for pinfall. Like, when was the last time you saw someone do that? Like, I like heel tech, and when he was in the Calf Killer, he raked the eyes, like doing real heel stuff. I kind of miss that in wrestling, where it's like a bad guy just doing those dirtiest player in the game tactics to salute Ric Flair. But my problem is AJ losing clean to him, and it's because they did the same thing with Jinder Mahal a few weeks. It just seems like we know AJ Styles is great, so we know how we build credibility. Just have him lose clean to Joe Who or Joe whatever, and I don't feel like it helps anybody. It just feels like it's a situation where nobody gets over, kind of a thing. And I'm glad they're kind of trying to make Dolph Ziggler seem like he's a valuable component of this Money in the Bank match, instead of just being like, oh, he's there to be a body to be in the ring because we have to have 6 men in this. I like that they're trying to do stuff with him. And I didn't know he was the only guy on SmackDown who won Money in the Bank and won. I know John Cena's on there, but he didn't win the title, whatever. It's confusing. I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird how time's gone past and Ziggler's just the only like remnant of a fallen era kind of a thing. And I'm interested in what's going on. And but my problem is, why make AJ Styles lose? Because I can't see this to be a way, because they're propping AJ to be the guy on SmackDown, like the face of it, kind of a thing, and have him just lose to just random people seems very like it's not smart business, I think.
Mm-hmm. So do you think maybe a dirty win for Ziggler here is the better option? It kind of personifies, hey, he's a heel. He had to use a dirty tactic to beat Styles. Maybe it makes the loss for AJ look a little bit less, impactful, so to speak.
It just because if you just I like the idea that he used the super kick and did it. Like, it just got knocked out. It happens. Whatever. You can walk that off. Not like a zigzag beat him or something stupid. But I do think a roll up on the ropes, that could have been the finish. And I'm like, okay, it's a rock and hard place thing, because like smart business would be just have AJ beat him and just have that be the thing, because Dolph Ziggler is probably not going to win the Money in the Bank.
Right.
One would think. And if you want to make AJ Styles, on the 6 men, he's probably my least favorite. He definitely is. But
yes, no doubt. It's an easy one.
Like, God, that'd be terrible. But
that's a layup.
Yep. Okay. But so it's just weird that maybe just, if you're not going to use Ziggler like that, why not just have AJ beat him? Just have a good match, showcase Ziggler in the match, and just have AJ win. Like, I don't know. It was very odd. I agree with that.
It definitely was a weird way for the show to finish, but it doesn't leave a bitter taste for me. I can see we want to make Ziggler look like he has a little bit of validity here, which he definitely needs something, because he's just got nothing going right now. So out of these 6 guys, though, like, considering we're talking about him kind of being the least common denominator, like that low guy on the totem pole. So you take into consideration Owens, Nakamura, Corbin, Zayn. AJ, Dolph. These 6 guys, when you think about this field for the Money in the Bank, you saying to yourself, well, I could see Owens winning, I could see Nakamura. Like, do you see multiple potential winners here, or do you think there's a clear-cut guy? I'm not necessarily asking you for your final prediction. No pressure on you here. But, do you think there's a clear-cut winner?
No. I think there's 2 possible winners. Actually, I'm going to go back on that because there's 2 possible winners, and one's kind of just a far off. Like, since WWE's just doing all kinds of crazy shit and just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks, Ziggler might have an outside shot of winning it. It's probably the least likely. But I think if they were just going to go like, hey, just surprise everyone, Ziggler wins, here's the push. But I think the only real the option you should go with, and I think it's Corbin, because you don't want to give it to a face like Zayn because it seems like very out of character for him to be like, when someone's down, kick, Zayn wins the belt. That's not a good babyface tactic. Owens is United States champion. I mean, you could duel it, but nah. I think they're angling him for something else. And AJ, I don't want AJ or Nakamura to win it because I feel like it would hurt their credibility a little bit, especially Nakamura. His first title win shouldn't be a Money in the Bank scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I think it'd be weird for him to carry the briefcase for his entrance too. Would he just place it down and do the flip? But
right.
Who knows? And AJ, doesn't sound right either. So I think Corbin, he's a heel, and he's going to be a world champion eventually, one would think. So, and it seems like why not have him be that guy who does it? I think Corbin's the clear-cut winner, but it would not surprise me if you're like, you know what, Dolph Ziggler guy, he's going with it again.
Yeah, just like last year when he won that match to become #1 contender suddenly. Very, kind of like an, shot in the dark. Oh, here he is. Ziggler's suddenly contending.
It's like Vince walks through the locker room, hasn't seen Ziggler in forever, like, wait a minute, we can make you a champion.
Remember 2013 when we liked you? Yes.
Yes, we can try that again.
Yeah.
It seems like so I think Corbin's the most clear cut. I don't know, who would you think? Because all I could factor is, Corbin, but...
Yeah, I think you make a good point with Corbin. I actually think he'd be the best fit for the Money in the Bank based off, character alone. Him or Owens would be the best fit, I think, for a Money in the Bank here. So I honestly think those would be my top 2 choices here, and I think that those are the 2 most likely guys. I think they could do it with Owens because, they got the U.S. belt on him, and they're trying to make him like that #1 heel. Maybe they're not ready to pull the trigger on Corbin yet, but I'm fine if they are because, to me, I don't know if you feel this way, but I certainly see Corbin as one of the most improved guys in the entire company over the last few months.
Him and Alexa Bliss are the 2 that improved better on the main roster than they did in NXT, I feel. Like, NXT did them no favors. I mean, Corbin was good in NXT. He just wasn't, like, there's something missing. Like, he was never going to be NXT champion, it felt like. Got to the main roster, it was a little rocky with Dolph Ziggler feud, ironically enough. But after that, he kind of found his groove, and, like, he's doing these good things. He's having the Mark Henry off-mic skills where he was telling Zayn, you want another ride in the ambulance? I'm like, I like that. I like his aggression. It's so weird to see just a bad guy like, I just want to beat some people up and I'm sick of all the stupid stuff around me. It's a fun thing. I do think Cole has improved immensely because he started out really rocky and now he's like, oh, I can see him being the top heel on SmackDown. I would not mind.
Yeah, and that speaks a lot to a wrestler's ability is to go out there and be somebody who's he just kind of was another one of the guys, and now suddenly has made a name for himself enough to stand out at least. That's very impressive. All right, so let's move into this whole women's scenario because this segment tonight was very, very interesting, and I don't want to wait to talk about this one. This is definitely something big because
be talked about.
Sure, it's historic. The first ever women's Money in the Bank match announced. And it's going to be with Becky, Charlotte, Tamina, Natty, Carmella. All of them brawling. The 5-way that was supposed to happen, not even taking place. Just this huge brawl. I mean, we even had a table bump out here and stuff. I mean, a lot going on, and it just felt like all of these women were legitimately fighting to be #1 contender. This is some of the best women's stuff that I have ever seen, and I don't know if you feel the same way, but I think this is the perfect time to move that needle and make this Money in the Bank happen. I actually am glad they waited till this year to make it happen because this is, to me, the time when they're the most ready.
I have to agree, and the segment that segment was awesome. Because it wasn't just the standard Money in the Bank build where it's like, oh, well, here's your participants, and like they did with the men's one from last week, or they'll just like win a qualifying match and you're in Money in the Bank. There's gonna be a match. Like it felt like they were trying something creative where it's like it wasn't supposed to be this way, but it kind of turned out that way. Like it felt like a natural progression for a story being told. And I'm like, okay, I'm behind that a little bit. And I think all the women in the segment looked better than they did coming into it. They looked good going in, but like Tamina, I had no opinion of Tamina going in. I'm like, she's whatever. But her aggression, she was messing up at that table. Like, there's something to her. There's like if they focus on her aggression, there could be something to Tamina, and that's the fact that I can even say that. It's pretty awesome. Charlotte did her moonsault. Everyone looked good, and I'm just glad that I agree. This is the time. If we're gonna do this match, the story dictates it. So it's not just forced for saying, "Hey, let's just have this be a thing." So I have to give it kudos. I thought the brawl was cool, fun. It's the time. Even though Shane didn't give a fuck and he didn't want to be there when he made the announcement, forgot Carmella's name, it still came off pretty good.
Right, yeah. And I got to give them props for that because I think the transition there, I didn't see it. Like, I didn't, this big brawl's happening, like Shane comes out, and until he was like getting ready to say it, I said, wow. I really it didn't all click in my mind, like, oh, that's what they're going to do, up until he came out to announce it. So they kept me, not sure, and they kept me kind of hanging in the balance. And to me, that's how you get me intrigued in Money in the Bank. Like, this pay-per-view, you have me looking forward to the men's Money in the Bank, and now you have a women's Money in the Bank, first time ever. Now you really have me hooked in this pay-per-view. Actually, this might be the match that I look forward to the most, just because it's the first time.
So far.
Sure. And you have women here who you can take seriously. Like, obviously, Charlotte still doing great work. You like Becky, and Carmella's done a really nice job. And even though Tamina's kind of been a whatever, I'm sure she'll perform well in this match. Natalya in there. I mean, you got a pretty good division right now over there on SmackDown. And I mean, a chance to make history. And then on top of that, people who actually can go out there and work. These women can go out there and work a good match.
Yeah, and I think every single one of them can. Tamina's probably the one and Carmella are the two who are like iffy on if they can do it, but Tamina's been there a long time, and I just think we need a women's wrestler with like muscle and who's like tough. A Nia Jax on this product and be like a monster in there. I think if they do Tamina right, she could be something great. It's just if they want to go through with it or not. And Carmella, she's learning, she's getting there. She's young in the business, she'll get there. And I wouldn't want any other woman in this match, I don't think. I mean, it'd be nice to have Sasha Bayley here, but the women they have, it's going to be incredible. It's probably going to be the two Money in the Bank matches are really strong this year with their competitors, and I expect good things from it. And I just love that we can say that. Like, I'm even kind of fearful in this situation because I know Charlotte's probably going to do a moonsault off a damn ladder, and it's going to be like the most dangerous thing in this.
Trust me, I was cringing at her moonsault tonight. So, I mean, off a ladder, I'm gonna be like, ugh.
She's gonna be or she'll do like a moonsault with the ladder. And it's gonna be like the most. Oh my God, you broke your arm. It's gonna be a demolition derby, not and probably a good way. I would hope. Hopefully, no one gets injured. It's probably gonna be a great match. I don't think it could be bad.
Right, I definitely agree with that because to me, one of the biggest complaints I've had about Money in the Bank over the years has been a lack of strength in the match. It's so obvious who's going to win, or there's 3 or 4 of the people that you say, okay, these guys have no shot. In both of these both the women's match and the men's match, I don't feel like that's the case. So that, to me, that's really making this Money in the Bank pay-per-view appear very strong. Let's hope it kind of follows in those footsteps. Now, I want to talk quickly about Breezango. And the reason why is because these Fashion Files segments that they've had going on, to me, have been extremely entertaining. And I mentioned out on Twitter earlier on that these guys actually have some of the qualities Edge and Christian had. Now, I know that's a big comparison to make.
That's a big one.
It's a big comparison to make because that's one of the best tag teams we've ever seen. But I think these guys do have some of that same stuff. We saw it even in that match with Primo and Epico later on. I don't really think we need to discuss the match too much. It was pretty straightforward. But these Fashion Files segments, I think, have really brought out the greatness of this team.
And I like how this week they've evolved the Fashion Files. It's not just the same Law and Order. They did like a noir setting, which as a cinema student, I've learned about noir, and it's so fun to see WWE try new things and try to incorporate things from film or other source material into this. And I like him in the Sherlock Holmes jacket, just being like looking through like trench coats and colognes. It honestly went over my head that he was talking about the Cologne brothers, and it was like the Cologne here. My reflexes were not fast enough to catch that reference, but yeah, I thought it was very funny. I like that they have great chemistry together, and the match was straightforward. But they have such a weird dynamic in the ring where this should not work. But I think it's their dedication to the parts they're playing that really sets it apart. Because you could tell when someone doesn't want to do it. Like when Tyler Breeze is in a dress, like it could easily be, oh, I don't want to do this, my God, and it kind of ruins the segment. But Tyler Breeze is just kind of
Sure.
owning it, and I like
Right.
when wrestlers own their gimmick. Like, you know what, might not be the most ideal. It's not world championship material, but you know what, this is fun. Let me have fun with it. Let me
Sure.
yeah, and I get that vibe from it. And it makes it very,
Mm.
very likable. And I have to say, the
Yeah.
Fashion Files home run every week. I want to see more. Please don't stop. Please go. I would like
Mm.
direction maybe, because just having random match of the Colognes isn't exactly a good payoff for the Fashion Files. There should always be a
Right.
good payoff, like them wanting something, a big mystery or something like that. And I feel like if they
Sure.
have direction, it's going to be a not home run every week. Don't stop.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and I definitely can second you on that because to me, Breezango is one of those teams that you didn't take seriously when they first formed because you said to yourself, okay, these are two, jobber type guys. Not that they should necessarily be jobbers, especially on the side of Tyler Breeze. Everyone, when he came up from NXT, was thinking this guy's going to be the next Intercontinental Champion or whatever.
I was hoping.
And it never really came to fruition in any way, shape, or form. And that's obviously a shame. You put these two guys together, you think, oh, whatever, they're just another jobber team that's not going to go anywhere. But you give them a little bit of direction, and which they still need to obviously further. But they've given them a chance, given them some segments, given them, obviously in this case, the Fashion Files. It's something that might sound like, whatever, but it's funny and it's entertaining. It's kind of like when they put Slater and Rhino together and we're doing those segments with Slater's kids and stuff. It was fun, and this is fun just like that. So you're taking two guys who need something and making them somebody that we want to see get a push, which is really great to see. And this tag team division, obviously, having another segment tonight between the New Day and the Usos, and it looks like that's going to be the championship match coming into Money in the Bank. Now, what are your thoughts on the whole New Day return and then them and the Usos facing off right away?
I liked the New Day's return and how they focused in on, like, hey, the tag team files, we want that, we need that. You think you're special, like, we're going to take it, kind of a thing. It's like New Day saying, hey, we're pretty big, and then everything's reflecting off that, and it's like, okay, I can get behind this. There's a story, like, they're about the titles, they're about their place, and it's like it feels like a good feud. And then the Usos, ever since this heel turn, they have been hitting it out of the park every week with their promos. I like because I feel like they're being themselves, kind of a thing, and that kind of helps when you want to get invested in something. It's kind of unfortunate they're heels and you want to boo, because I'm not having any reason to boo them. Like, they want to keep their titles. They don't like these guys, whatever. But I like the Usos. I like the New Day. I like their interaction. I think this is a promising tag team feud. My only gripe is I didn't want the Breezango feud to end that quickly, because I feel like there's a plethora of more things you could do with that. Maybe save it and move on to it for a later date once you build up Breezango more. But I'm like that the New Day's, because if you're the longest reigning tag team champions in history, you deserve to be number one contenders like that. So I'm cool with that. And the Usos and them, they should have a great match too. It's built, everything in the undercards is kind of building up nicely, and I like the characters they're being presenting to us on SmackDown. It feels different, feels fresh, and like it's something interesting going on in every little aspect except one major one. Get to that, but I wonder what that is. But the New Day's return, I've missed them. I mean, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I feel like
Sure
that's because I was at a point where I'm like, man, I'm kind of tired of the New Day and all this stuff. Gone for a few months, like, man, I kind of could use some New Day, and here they are.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, there we go,
Absolutely.
worked out. So I'm all in.
And I think that makes New Day more refreshing, because a lot of people who were so behind New Day, even myself to a certain degree, we're so behind New Day. We love them so much, and they're so fun and entertaining. It kind of becomes like ad nauseum after a while. It's like, all right, we've seen this stuff. It's still funny, it's still entertaining, but it loses its luster. The shine kind of wears off. And now that they've been gone for a little bit, they come back, and it was like a big refresher tonight. They were funnier to me, and I was laughing. I was enjoying everything about it. And the Usos with this gimmick, it's definitely been a lot better for them than the old Us gimmick that they had going.
Generic babyface,
yeah,
whatever thing.
And that gimmick started off very well, but it got very tiresome after a while, and they needed that refresher. And it was the heel turn that really was the big pusher for me. Now that they are these heels and they're these kind of like, kick-ass, take names kind of guys, I really like them as a team again. This is the first time in a couple of years, and obviously I'm speaking for the last few months, not just right now, but this is the first time over these last few months that I've really enjoyed them since probably 2013 or 14. So that's a really good sign. And I think that these two teams could put on a nice tag match. And like you said, New Day kind of just saying, hey, look, we're the longest reigning tag champs in, all this time. So we kind of have earned our right to get into the tag title picture right off the bat. So a cool segment here, I think that really did make this tag championship match look good. And again, further stack up this card for Money in the Bank. It looks like it's going to be a good pay-per-view, I gotta say.
It's getting building up pretty nicely. I mean, except one aspect, we'll get there. But,
oh yes.
But I gotta give credit, because you were saying the Usos, because as you said, they started out good in the babyface role, then it kind of got like pushed down our throats. Like, we get it, they're good, but I don't want to see this. It's kind of boring. All you need is a good heel turn sometimes, and just let wrestlers be themselves, and magic will follow, I think.
Absolutely.
And I feel like the Usos feel like real people too. It's weird, where it's like I could go outside and see someone like the Usos right there talking, and that kind of helped for the audience to get behind them, because they know they'll either like this kind of person where they're like in your face, or they're gonna be like put off by it, kind of a thing. So I like that, and I think it's good building on the Usos. And New Day is gonna be complimentary, because New Day they get it, they get the business, and they get who they are. So.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because the Usos, the old gimmick that they had, they didn't feel like real people at all. They felt like, now again, we don't need everyone to feel real. Sometimes we want larger than life, kind of like the Shinsuke type of deal, and that's okay. But I like that the Usos feel like real people. They weren't, never larger than life. They just felt like they were almost portraying something on screen, and now it just feels like they are what they are. We are what we are. We kick ass. We take names. That's kind of the deal. So definitely a much better transition for them. So let's move on to, I'm sure, the thing that you are not loving so much, because by process of elimination, it's the one thing we really haven't discussed yet, and I wanted to save it for last, because I think it's the biggest discussion we have, and it's the Randy Orton, Jinder Mahal WWE Championship scenario. First off, we got a video package tonight, kind of showcasing Jinder's win, kind of showing his celebration, basically recapping everything that took place. And then we got Randy Orton's quote-unquote response, where he came out and basically talked about his family legacy more than anything else, and that he's going to take the title back. Pretty straightforward. Jinder ends up on the big screen and tells Orton that he's living in the past. His goons are with him, clapping, and they weren't even clapping in rhythm. I mean, come on. New Day has that stuff down. I think they need to sit down and have a therapy session with New Day to learn how to clap, at the same time, right? I mean, these two guys they're all over the place. It just made it distracting more than anything else. Yeah. But all jokes aside, Jinder was saying that Orton is just living in the past, much like how America is and whatnot. And then Orton basically just looked away and was like, okay, and just got back on the turnbuckle, and the crowd was not popping for him. So he was like, pop for me, damn it, I'm Randy Orton. And they kind of did a little bit. But that was pretty much all we got out of the WWE Championship stuff tonight. Justin, please, Justin, fill us in.
How can I fill you in? It's just I've explained my stance on Jinder Mahal and his title win. I can't. There's nothing more I can really say on how it wasn't right time. It wasn't the right guy. It wasn't any of. It's terrible writing. And as Jay put out a video and talked about on the podcast, you have to watch the video and shut your brain off. And he said he's not doing that anymore. I think you should all check that out on YouTube and check out the podcast he did with Steven, because he made a lot of good cathartic points that needs to be spoken about Jinder Mahal. Taking that out of it, because it's not so much about his title reign this week. We have to just focus on the story that's at hand. And the story they're presenting me, I'm not feeling, and it's not, and I can't even say it's Jinder Mahal's fault all that much at this point. It comes right down to Randy Orton at the end of the day. Because what he was given to say tonight wasn't bad, but when you could tell someone doesn't give a fuck, it kind of makes it hard for me to give a fuck. Because he was saying, he's talking about his family. Shouldn't he be more emotional about it? Like, my grandpa would smack me across the face if he saw that. I mean, it just felt like he was like, my grandpa would smack me across the face if he saw me lose to Jinder Mahal. Like, he's just saying lines. I want to get done. Can I go home to my hot wife in a second? Come on. All right. It's just like, I want to. And Jinder Mahal was trying to be like this big, intense guy saying America's in decay, all the standard, foreigner gimmick bullshit we get every time now, or whatever. Right. He was trying to be intense. He was looking at Randy Orton like, dude, I'm going to fight you. And Randy Orton just looking at him like, yeah, okay, back to my pose. Like, it's like, if there's no fire in the feud, what's the fucking point? Like, why are you wasting my time with this? When the WWE champion's not credible, when the challenger doesn't give a fuck, there's nothing for me to get invested in this story.
Right.
And it honestly upsets me that I'm just sitting here like there's great things happening on SmackDown. Like every other feud has that something to it. In the Money in the Bank men's match, there's like fire between everybody in the feuds. The women's feud, we talk about how there's like this how they're working it everything out.
Yes.
And the tag division, there's like a legit story there. Now Breezango have like things going on that they care about and want to be involved in. And Jinder Mahal is trying, but he's like a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of like a sheep in wolf's clothing, something like that. I don't know.
One way or another. He's in the wrong skin.
And Randy Orton's like, dude, I've been doing this for 13 years. I'm going to get it the way I want. I don't have to put that much effort in. He's like, fuck you, dude. Come on.
Right.
You're like Randy Orton, you should be like the greatest of all time, and yet you're somewhere not even close to that because you don't care. Why is it so, if you love wrestling, like you claim you do, like how it's in your blood and all this stuff, you should be more passionate about what you're doing. And like upset that Jinder Mahal, this jobber, beat you and took your belt. You should be like, I want to kill this guy. I want to put him in the head kind of a thing. And yet it's just like, all right, back to posing. You're not cheering me. I care more about your not cheering me than I showed more fire here than I did with Jinder Mahal on the screen. It's a fail feud. It's not working. Like I'm stuck because I don't want Jinder Mahal to be champion. I don't want Randy Orton to be champion. But if Randy Orton were to beat Jinder Mahal because he's more credible, I'll give Randy Orton that. Sure. I'd have to see another rematch, and I don't want to see this feud continue. I don't want to see this feud happen at Money in the Bank.
Do you feel that this feud, though, it would be a lot better? Well, I want to talk about, kind of cover my thoughts on the whole Jinder thing because I've
you've been absent. You need to let it out. Yeah.
So I will say, all right, let's do that before we continue on. All right, so for me, Jinder Mahal getting pushed this quickly, not fun. Never a big fan of stuff like this. We've talked so many times on PWF Empire, whether it was the old format, Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, pay-per-view reviews, previews, whatever it may be, any type of video on this show for a long, long time. All of us have said that when somebody gets pushed that quickly, it's always, almost every single time, it's going to be too much, too fast, not a good idea. You need to slow things down, build the character up, make him feel credible. You can't have a guy like Jinder Mahal, especially, who's been a jobber and really someone who hasn't even really ever done anything. And then suddenly he's WWE champion a few weeks later. Now, does he have the look of someone who could be a champion? Absolutely, especially with how ripped up he is nowadays compared to before. He's in great shape. Looks good. And he's got the, he is a foreign character that can draw some legitimate heat. Obviously, it's not the heat seeker that like Iron Sheik was in the 80s because wrestling isn't what it was then. But you can still draw some legitimate heat with this guy, no question. And I think he could be a champion. Here's where the problem comes in. You can't have him go from being this random-ass jobber to suddenly champion within a few weeks and expect people to believe it and buy into it. Again, it goes back to that Jay's point of not turning you're turning yourself off to be able to watch the product without getting frustrated, and you shouldn't have to do something like that. He also wrote a really nice article about it on the website, which everyone should check out as well as the video, because it's true. We can't suddenly have guys going from major title to mid-card title or vice versa, especially vice versa. I wasn't good enough to qualify for the mid-card title, so here I am fighting for the world title. Now, how much sense does that make? Not at all. And it's even worse with Jinder. Here I go from lowest end of the card. I'm doing nothing. I'm losing to random people to suddenly here I am defeating Randy Orton at a pay-per-view. And I think this feud loses a lot of luster here because of the fact that Randy Orton doesn't seem to give a damn. He doesn't seem to give a shit that he's in a feud for the WWE Championship with Jinder Mahal. It doesn't matter to him. Here's the difference between Randy Orton and John Cena, and this is why I will always like John Cena more. John Cena acts like anybody's an opponent to him. He acts like anybody who he's facing could beat him. He always seems to give his opponent due credit. The only reason that Cena seems like the machine is because that's the way he is booked and presented to you. It's not the way his character acts. He never acts like, well, I'm so much better than you. There's a couple exceptions in there. But for the most part, every opponent he's faced, even though we as fans are more than smart enough to know he's going to win because it's John freaking Cena, he doesn't act that way on television, and I appreciate that. Whereas Randy Orton does act that way on television, and that takes that much more away from this feud. Because if one of the guys in it seems like he could care less, he's like, well, I'm making my money. I've won my championships. It is what it is. Then how are we supposed to get that invested? I see the effort out of Jinder Mahal. I actually thought the promo he cut on the Tron tonight was
trying.
It was solid stuff. tonight because I liked what I saw when he was saying like you're living in the past. And that was good stuff. That was solid. And I think Jinder could be a legit major top level heel. But the problem is there was like it was like there was a staircase to build him there, but instead we just got one of those chair lifts and went to the top instead of actually climbing the damn stairs like we're supposed to here. So and I know that this story could have had the progression and the climb, or Jinder as a character could have had that. So tonight, what I saw out of Randy Orton was just disappointing to me, and that's where they lose me. I like that they took a risk on Jinder Mahal. I just wish that they built him up to get there in the first place, because them pushing Jinder is not a problem with me at all, and it's a title win that I would have enjoyed and been behind completely had it been built up properly. Instead, becomes something that is disappointing.
Yeah, it's not so much Jinder Mahal as a person. It's just sometimes too much damage. It's just you can't get back from it. You have him job like if Jinder Mahal, like even if he was jobbing to a point, like you had him go through the United States title ring or just have like these little feuds, and then just out of nowhere, even though he's just been in the United States title feud, they're probably like, oh, he's just not going to be anything bigger than that. He wins a number one contendership, becomes for the WWE title. Like I'd be more receptive to that than just being like jobber champion. No, I don't. That's not how you get to that point, as you're saying. And I can't even so much put all the blame on Randy Orton because it's just how the kind of segment was structured. Randy Orton says something, Mahal says something, and Randy wasn't like, maybe he didn't want to respond, but if he responded to Jinder, maybe instead of just being like, okay, pose time, because it's like, oh well, that's something. Okay, going on to this other thing where I don't care about this. Like if you don't care about who you're, it's just he needed to respond to Jinder Mahal so we can, because there's like this disconnect between the two of them. Like before their match at Backlash, there's very little interaction with him. The first interaction he had was like, oh, Jinder Mahal, you have a chance. Goodbye. I have to talk about Bray Wyatt now. And discards him.
Yes.
It's been like that. Like they've never had this face-to-face promo interaction where they're talking to each other and have the like Cena, like you were talking about, would do that with everybody. You think Cena wanted to feud with Great Khali, but no, but he made the most of it. Every single feud, he made it seem like, okay, this is my job. I got to. I'm wrestling. I'm doing this great thing. I'm doing this character thing. I'm going for the WWE Championship. I know what this means. And Randy, there's just nothing there with them. And like Randy, if Randy doesn't care, like. One is a jobber and is not credible in the slightest, and one doesn't give a fuck. How am I to like invest in this WWE? This is your WWE Championship feud.
It's supposed to be the number one feud on the show,
and it's like it feels like an afterthought and like the least important thought out because it is not well thought out. It seems very last minute and scrambled.
And you have to think, like, look at us on this show. The last thing we're discussing is the WWE Championship picture, not the we got to start the show with the title picture. I think that the reason we wait for this to be last is because it's the least entertaining aspect, and I have to wonder, is this a really bad sign for SmackDown Live going forward? If the effort isn't there for the WWE Championship picture, it takes something away from everything else that's doing well. All this, the Money in the Bank matches and the tag stuff and in the women's stuff and everything that's going on that is going well, it kind of, to me at least, devalues it just a bit, because if your main title feud is like whatever, that's the last match that you're going to see at the pay-per-view, assumingly, and you're not that into it, then why am I into any of it then, right?
Yeah, it's for an example, it's like the captain of the Titanic. The ship is beautiful and big and boisterous, and like it's a beautiful, mighty ship. But if the captain says run into the iceberg, the ship's going to go down either way because the captain's the big focal point here, and it's not a WWE title feud. I don't know how they. Honestly, at this point, you might as well just make either Money in the Bank match the main event, because who gives a fuck at this point? Like, no one's going to see Money in the Bank for Randy Orton in his hometown, which means, he's probably not going to win. Did you learn from AJ Styles tonight?
Sure, yeah. It was foreshadowing.
And the thing with Shane or somebody's like, yeah, Randy picked it because it's his hometown. I was like, are you fucking stupid? That's what you do. Pick something another time. But
absolutely.
It's not working. Jinder Mahal's not working. Randy Orton's not working. The build-up's not working. Nothing about this is working, and they need to, like, after Money in the Bank, they need to do something. They have to something else. This has to be the end. These two do not work together well. Randy doesn't want to work with Jinder Mahal, it feels like. Jinder Mahal's trying, but just isn't that guy. It's sad. And if this is what your pinnacle of SmackDown is, yeah, maybe Raw is the A show after all. I don't want to say that because what's going on the SmackDown undercard is so good.
Yeah.
It's the main event, that head of the snake, man.
Yeah, it sure is. So
But
they'll definitely need to work on that a little bit. So I want to throw a little bit of a wrench in the conversation before we go for our overall thoughts here on
yeah.
SmackDown Live this week. Do you think that at Money in the Bank, there's a chance that whoever wins the briefcase cashes in that night, and maybe that kind of reinvigorates the WWE title picture just a bit?
I never even thought of it like that. I mean, I doubt they'll do that because they've done that with Dean Ambrose last year, and I think they want to
Sure.
have someone hold the briefcase. But with the women's, I guess you could do that with the women.
Mm,
Having just their briefcase be there, you have whoever whatever. But if they were to do that, that would mean AJ Styles or Kevin Owens would have to. AJ Styles, Kevin Owens would be the two options because Baron Corbin, I don't think you should just jump right into that. You should have him hold the
right.
briefcase for a bit.
Mm,
But if that's, I would hope, because honestly, Jinder Mahal's not the WWE champion. I don't want to see Randy Orton with the belt either. So take this lose and give us a win, like Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31. Give us a Seth Rollins or not Seth
yeah.
Rollins exactly, but give us a cash in and
Right.
save us. Because I'll
Give
take
us
Dolph
our
Ziggler.
savior.
Like this is how far it is. I'll take Dolph Ziggler over Randy Orton and
Oh
Jinder Mahal.
boy.
I'll take it. I mean,
Wow.
I'll
That
take
says
it.
a lot, my friend.
I know it says everything. Is there any better way to put down a poster? I would rather see. Also,
oh my God.
that's how
Man,
far the title is.
you got to be reaching in order to be hoping for Ziggler here. But yeah, I actually think that there's a possibility that's why I bring it up, because I think maybe this championship this can't continue beyond this pay-per-view. Like that has to
Unless
be
we're
the
waiting
end.
for Cena to beat Jinder for whatever reason.
Oh
Like
God.
which I'll take
Why?
Cena over Randy Orton.
Oh,
I
sure,
just don't.
sure,
I
sure.
rather the feud
Mm,
Mahal. I'd rather Jinder Mahal thing just be done. Just
yes.
get it out of the. Because I don't want to. It's not. I've said it enough, but I would. I'm hoping they'll
Hmm.
cash in at Money in the Bank,
Right.
but I'm doubtful. As my
I can see the possibility. I really can. And I think Kevin Owens will be your top option for it, too.
Mhm.
He goes in, U.S. champ, wins Money in the Bank, wins the belt all in one night.
Mhm.
It's like Kevin Owens just kind of
The
taking
Kevin Owens
over
show.
the Kevin Owens show. Right, exactly.
Period.
And I honestly think that if that happens at Money in the Bank, it makes SmackDown that much more interesting, and it makes for an awesome night for the pay-per-view. So I kind of hope that's the direction they're trending toward. I'm
I
not
will
going to
have my
bank on
fingers
it.
crossed.
I'm not going to bank on it, but I'm going to hope for it. I'll tell you that much. So anyway, overall, I thought this episode of SmackDown, outside of the WWE Championship stuff, honestly was a very nice show. I thought it opened up well, and that tag team match was a good way to get things going and establish some build up for Money in the Bank. The New Day Usos stuff was funny and entertaining on the side of New Day. Plus, it gives you a good tag title feud. You get the Breezango segment, which honestly was fantastically done again. The women's Money in the Bank announcement was executed so well. And then on top of that, you have a pretty nice main event with Ziggler and Styles to finish the night. Although it was a bit of a weird
A
thing to see
wonky
Ziggler
finish.
win. A little weird to see Ziggler win clean. I gotta say, I would give this show probably like a B plus or an A minus. I thought this was a well executed SD live, especially when you consider the fact that it's a 2 hour show and it flowed very well. And that's the
Yeah.
thing that SmackDown has had going for itself most of the time. Anyway, your final thoughts, Justin.
It did have a good pace. Like it was definitely an improvement of last week, where it just felt like they didn't know what to do, and like there was a 40-minute main event for no reason. It felt like, and everything was perfectly paced, and everything flowed into each other really well. And like the segments were placed where they were supposed to be. The only downside is the WWE Championship, and that is a big deal because it is the title. But it really wasn't the biggest segment, and I can kind of just discard it. And I don't. So weird that I'm saying. I don't want to be saying that, but it is what it is. But I thought the show was really entertaining, really fun, and like it felt like actual story was being built for Money in the Bank, which is always a good thing. It wasn't just like let's kill time for a week. It just felt like there was actually a purpose behind everything this week.
Advancements, yep.
And I'd give it definitely a thumbs up. It was a good show, very good show. Improvement of the past couple weeks.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. I went to the show a couple weeks ago live, and it definitely wasn't as good as this week's, no question. I wish I was there live tonight instead down in Hot Atlanta. So anyway, that's going to do it here for the SmackDown Live review, May 30th, 2017. We're already going into the month of June. It seems almost insane
weird
to me that time is going by this fast. But Money in the Bank is on the horizon. It's coming up soon, and we're going to be back with you same time, same place next week here on PWF Empire Live. For Justin, I'm Evan. We thank you for joining us, and until next week, peace.